world? How are you? Welcome to Show Boys. We're doing something a little different tonight. Obviously, as you can see, we don't have our two talking heads that we normally have with us. Just Dad and I. Currently, we are waiting for a third unannounced guest, or maybe we announced it. Can't remember. But I'm here with Dad.
Yes.
And how are you tonight, Dad?
I am great. How are you,
Awesome.
Chad?
I am doing great as well. Got super amped about something that you made me earlier today, which will be revealed in the coming weeks or coming days, really, actually, probably. So I'm really excited for everybody to listen to it. But we are here tonight to talk about Across the Spider-Verse, the new Spider-Man movie. And I assume you obviously saw it, yeah? Hopefully, or this is going to be a real short episode.
Yeah. Yes, I did.
Yeah. Brady, Roman, and I went and saw it today, like noon.
Fresh on the brain.
Fresh on the brain. Long movie, man.
It was.
Like it was to the point where I normally don't complain about movies being long, but it was like to the point where I was like, dude, this is like really long.
There was a part where I'm like, okay, this is the end. Oh,
This is
no,
definitely the
it's
end.
not.
Yeah. Yeah, I was really super proud of my younger son. He sat through the whole thing, didn't complain one single time about it. It's like maybe the first movie he's ever sat through in a theater without at least complaining once that he wanted to leave. And I think it was because he loved it. Because he said after we left, he's like, "That's the best movie we've ever seen in a theater." And I was like, "I think I might agree with you, man. I think I might agree with you." So while we're waiting for our third guest here, let's just knock out like some initial thoughts.
Okay.
Spoiler-free thoughts, maybe.
Sure.
So go ahead. Tell me, how'd you like it?
I really liked it, actually. I feel like it lived up to the first and maybe even exceeded in a lot of different areas. As Nick said, I have a nice shirt, which I
Nice shirt. Yeah, I should have brought. I don't know why I have so many Spider-Man shirts, but it's a little cold down here, and I think it might be because my window back there is open. So I'm rocking the Freedom hoodie tonight. You know.
Yeah, that's all right. That's all right. But yeah, there's actually what I wanted to get into, and we can do this later. But just all the different art styles.
Oh, dude,
this movie blew me away.
Yeah, man.
They really put a lot of time into this.
For sure.
Yeah, I just nothing but good things. Well, there were a couple of things that I was like, eh.
Yeah.
But initial reaction, I love it. And I'd go see it again.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with you. I think it definitely lives up to the first film. Into the Spider-Verse, though, was just so like, I don't know, maybe it was just me not paying attention to anything at the time, but it just seemed like it was so out of left field. And at the time, and I've told this on the podcast like several times before, but when I played Arkham Knight, it was the first Batman Arkham game that I ever played. DC has like a plethora of stellar animated movies that you can watch, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that tons of Batman ones, and they're all phenomenal.
Mm-hmm.
So when Spider-Man came out for the PS4, I was like, dude, I can't wait to get to the Spider-Man animated movies. I can't wait. There's going to be so many of them. And nothing. There was nothing, dude. The only thing was Into the Spider-Verse, which wasn't even out yet at the time. Right. I'm like, what on earth is going on at Marvel that they're not giving the attention to the animated stuff?
They should have jumped on that.
But then Into the Spider-Verse came out like a month later, and it was like, okay, that's why, because this is how animated comic book movies should be 100%. You got the text bubbles, you got the everything about it was so on point. So I love it. And I'll be honest with you, I think, and this might make some people mad, like I think Miles is creeping up and maybe surpassing Peter in my mind. Like he's just a phenomenal character, at least in these movies. I think he's well written. I think he's well acted. I think everything about him is great. I do have some complaints with the movie. I think it's overall really, really, really strong. The ending, which I'm sure we'll get to later, was kind of like just out of left field, ended the movie immediately. Like I did not see it coming, even though I was sitting there like, dude, is this like a 3-hour movie? When we got to the end, I was like, wait, that's it? Like that's how we're ending all of this. Like that's wild.
Yeah.
But I don't think it's it's the middle, assumingly the middle movie of a trilogy.
Yep.
Wasn't meant to put a cap on anything. And I don't think it did really put a cap on anything. And I think it opens up way more questions than it answers.
Absolutely.
Dude, it was just all the different spider people in it, man. Like there are ones that I've never heard of before, never seen before. I don't know if they're all from comics or if there's some that they made. Like there was a samurai one at one point. There's like a Wild West one riding the horse. The Spider-Man India is hilarious.
Dude.
He
Yeah.
uses a yo-yo. Like it's there's a lot of really good designs, but there's a lot of really good designs that I absolutely loved from my childhood. Scarlet Spider's in this. He's animated freaking awesome. He's voice acted awesome. He's just like the emo Spider-Man, you know what I mean? And then the standout probably for me is, and I don't know if this is really a spoiler because I think it's all over the place. 2099 really stood out for me. I think he's freaking phenomenal. Didn't know that he was voiced by Oscar Isaac.
Yeah.
Which makes him the first actor in history to play like however many Marvel characters he's played in however many different movies. Because he's got like Apocalypse from the X-Men movies, 2099, and Moon Knight, right?
Yeah.
So yeah. Overall, just basic thoughts on the movie. I thought it was great. I can't wait for the next one. It's probably going to be years till it's here because it takes them a long time to animate these movies.
Well, they've already got a release date, or next year they've got it planned.
Oh, planned for next year.
Yeah.
I didn't know that. Okay, interesting.
My son was telling me they have a countdown timer on a website somewhere.
Oh, nice. I kind of assumed that because I don't know if you stayed for the end credit scene, but like they already have the title for the movie. The end credit scene was the title for the movie. So
June 12th.
June 12th. Interesting.
That's crazy.
I'll be curious that you almost have to assume that they did it all together and they're cutting the film in half.
Yeah, that's what I said. Like they probably made a 3-hour movie, but they're like, we totally need to make this into 2 movies. So this is a good point to stop it.
Yeah. And it does. I mean, did you feel like it came out of left field, the ending? Like it just stopped abruptly?
Yeah. I mean, it makes sense though. Like why that happened that way, try not to give away anything. Like it's really hard, really difficult.
Yeah.
But just the situation Miles finds himself in and the person that he's with is just, I mean, I didn't see it coming by any means, but it makes sense that it led up to that.
Yeah. I definitely didn't see it coming. There's a really good twist towards the end of this movie. And we can, and here, I think what Dad and I are saying, spoiler free wise, go watch this movie. If you have any interest in whatsoever, go watch it. Come back. This will be on YouTube somewhere. It's not milk. It's not going to expire. Watch it once you've actually watched the film. But we can get into spoilers because we don't need to tiptoe around spoilers. That's kind of what we're doing anyway.
Right.
So if you want to bail out, you don't want any spoilers. Now's your warning. But yeah, I don't know, man. It just felt like they were building up at the end there. Yeah. Like the team from the original movie comes in, building up, and like 2099's lurking somewhere. But once I thought about it, I'm like, they're in a totally different dimension. They're not even in the same dimension. So it made sense that it ended there. But while I was watching it, I was like, that was just an abrupt cut to the movie, Right. So
yeah, it I was happy with it though. Like it shocked me. And I don't know anything about, like, did this come from a comic series first, or is this brand new? Like,
I mean, that would probably be better answered by Jordan, but I don't believe. I think this is an original story. I know that they've done a Spider-Verse style, probably multiple runs of comics, but I don't think anything identical to this.
Well, in the in the original or whatever cartoon in the 90s Spider-Man comics where they had Madam Web.
Yeah.
I mean, I barely remember that, but
right.
that was crazy because it
Yeah,
was the
dude,
Spider-Verse.
it was, yeah. And Jordan and I talked about that, I think on our Far From Home, or no, not Far From Home, No Way Home episode that we did for Patreon, where we'd love to see her in live action. And
Yes.
there's a lot there's just I don't know, the movie, let's start just I guess at the beginning. We start kind of with Gwen's story here,
Yeah.
and we didn't see much of her story, if anything, outside of like a 10-second reel in the first movie where she explains what happened.
Yeah.
And you see it kind of play out differently here. You see Peter in her universe is just like her best friend, tries to become a superhero by drinking some sort of liquid and becomes a lizard.
Yep.
And she ends up having to kill him. I thought it was a good way to start the movie. Like you're going into this movie thinking that it's going to be about Miles, which it is.
Miles, yeah.
All Miles, but the whole intro, up to the credits is all Gwen, and it's maybe like a 20-30 minute scene.
Yeah, I mean, I was that kind of surprised me too, but I wasn't disappointed at all. Like, it was, like you said, I mean, just going through her backstory and kind of like showing how her life has been since they left.
So our long-awaited guest has appeared.
Are you ready?
Below
sir?
us here?
Are you ready?
Ready?
Hello, sir.
How's it going?
What's up?
Oh, not much. I was here for embarrassingly longer than I'd like to admit in the wrong studio, waiting to join.
Oh.
Yeah.
All good, man. All good.
It happens.
We really haven't done too much digging into everything yet. We just knocked
I've
out,
heard everything.
Oh, you heard everything? Okay. So let's now that you're here finally, let's give your initial spoiler-free thoughts real quick, and then we can dive into everything.
Spoiler-free thoughts. That's a good movie. That's a really good movie. I said it's a celebration of all things Spider-Man.
Yeah,
it definitely is that in its simplest form. It's a celebration of all things Spider-Man. Spider-Man is, he's the number one selling merchandise pop culture character in America. It's very difficult to achieve that. People, there's fathers take like while I was there, I was creepily, I guess, looking around at the audience around me, seeing little kids, dads. You could see, there's some grandfathers in there that are observably and assumably grandfathers, and just to see the generation, just the echo, and then you see the little kids, rooting for Miles the same way, they probably rooted for Peter. It's just right. It was good. It was really good.
Yeah.
See, that's a good point you make. Like, this is a hero that like spans multiple generations.
Right.
He will never die. Like, he'll never get old. They'll always reinvent him somehow. I mean, they are. And the way they do it, just it's so freaking good.
There's only a few characters that they can do that with, right? They tried it with Batman a few times. It doesn't stick. Bruce Wayne is Batman, right? Yeah. Clark Kent, they did it with Superman. The Green Lantern, they did it, well after the Alan Scott years. They did, Hal Jordan, which is kind of the definitive Green Lantern, not because his name is Jordan, no bias. But John Stewart was a successful, successor to that. You have Guy Gardner in there, of course, too, and such, and Kyle. But Miles is one of the few, characters. It's a character in his own, and has his, a dynamic family, different problems, a little bit different setting where he's living, but he's still connected in every other way. They did it. It's hard to do something like that. I guess what I'm getting at.
Yeah, I agree with you. And before you got on here, I said, like, I think Miles is creeping maybe a little past Peter for me, especially with these two movies in the game. Like, I just like him. I don't know what it is about him. He's an awesome character.
Something about him.
There's just something about him.
He's a good character.
Was talking about this earlier, Jordan. I don't know if you'll know this. Was Miles a comic book character before the movies, or the movies?
Miles was, yeah.
No, he definitely was. He was. He's one of the. he appeared like in Ultimate Fallout 4, I believe, which is the Ultimate Universe for Marvel. So you have just a slight, just it's a different Earth. Honestly, instead of the Avengers, they're actually called the Ultimates, and Peter Parker, dies there, and I believe actually Miles actually just bitten by a spider. I don't believe it's from like a different universe or anything like that, but he becomes, so the anomaly is kind of something they created for this, and it's really. It took him a while to gain ground, but people were automatically like, his suit, the black and red, they were attracted to that immediately. And but yeah, he was definitely a character. But what I'm getting at, it's one of the more like modern key issues. That's like a huge key, right? You have the Harley Quinn on DC side that does that, and then you have Miles over here that's kind of doing that. But high grade Ultimate Fallout 4, I mean, it's way up there in price.
I bet. Yeah, for sure. Yeah. So I think, and I wanted to ask you this, Jordan, because I don't even know, like, were some of the Spider-Man that we see, are they made up for this? Or is there like actually a samurai Spider-Man and a Wild West Spider-Man? And like, I don't remember seeing any of that. It could be, I'm sure maybe in some,
the Wild West
off issue.
The Wild West one, has existed. I'm almost positive. I feel very confident the Samurai Spider-Man existed. Some of them that look made up kind of actually aren't. You actually notice anyone that plays Fortnite will see there's a 0 Point Spider-Man, which is like a crossover.
Yeah.
They did like 0 Point Batman at one point, and they just they have a little bit different skins. But 0 Point Spider-Man's there multiple times. They shelled out some money for that, I guess. Yeah. Spider Rex, he's real from the comics. A lot of them are real, and a lot of them are actually variants of Peter Parker throughout the years too. Like there's like spider armor where he's like in silver and black.
Yes,
right, yeah.
I had that action figure as a kid.
Yeah,
freaking awesome.
Right.
I mean, we saw some of those in the '90s animated series too.
Yeah,
and I think maybe Scarlet Spider was in that there as well at some point.
Yeah.
I was mentioning, like, I love Scarlet Spider in this. I wish we got a little bit more of him.
Yeah.
I think just his art.
And maybe a different version of him, though.
Yeah. I think just his art and his, like, emo style that he's got going on. And he's, like, narrating himself, too, which I thought was hilarious.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
I definitely wanted more of Scarlet Spider. He was one of my favorites growing up, too.
For sure.
Just the fact he was in like the hoodie, he's got the dark muscles shaded in, like overly too many. His muscles have muscles.
Yeah,
it's I was a little disappointed on his I guess the content of his character a little bit myself, but it's he'll be back, so hopefully they'll redeem him in the next one. I mean, I'm assuming he'll be back. He got kind of thrown away, but he's part of the core team that Spider-29 has together.
Yeah. For sure. Yeah, I think they definitely could have utilized him a lot more. I remember, like, I think in the comics he like uses guns and stuff. Like, I have a comic where he's got like an Uzi on the cover.
Yes.
So dude, Scarlet Spider's just awesome. I don't know. That's like a 90s thing. Cool. Maybe he's just really cool.
He's definitely unhinged.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. So I want to talk a little bit about the animation because it does feel a little different than Into the Spider-Verse.
Yeah.
And I think it's probably mostly because of all the different locations we're getting. They're trying to get a different look to everything, right? Gwen's reality looks very like water painting like. I don't know how else to put it. But how'd you feel about the animation quality throughout the entirety of the movie? I mean, it's through the roof in some of the parts, and maybe seizure inducing in other parts as well. So,
Jordan, a lot of bright colors.
Yeah,
I think they saw what worked in the first one, and they were like, okay, well. I often use, like, if you're a band and you come out with a really good album at first, you're kind of like, oh shit, what are we gonna do now? How they expect more. But I feel like they did it right in trying to do other things. By doing that, obviously you introduce the watercolors, you introduce kind of the epileptic, punk rock flyers that look like a bunch of JPEG logos thrown together in Microsoft Paint. It's Jeff knows what I'm talking about on that one too, right?
I do, yes.
Yeah. So it's it was it was good. It is tough to watch. One of the biggest criticisms I hear, even from the first one, is it's a little fast, right?
Yeah.
And it's a fair point.
Yeah,
I'm
it is.
able to keep up with it, but I ask myself, in 15 years, could I?
Right.
Really, could I?
Yeah.
It doesn't mean it's any less of a movie. It's just harder to enjoy it at some points. Like
Yeah.
the 2007 Transformers movie, you're like, there's two Transformers fighting,
Don't know
but
what they're
who is
doing.
it? Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah,
I think they're fighting.
they're doing something.
Yeah.
Yeah. What'd you think, Dad?
I loved it. I mean, there was so much color, so much like, I mean, it was a lot. Like the dot art from like the old school comics was sweet. I was reading something earlier that said that they use 6 different art styles in this movie.
Jeez, yeah, I believe
And
it.
I think it all had to do with the specific Spider-Man that they were showing, like the Spider-Man India. Like, art style was awesome, and even in their suits, like it was just really, really cool.
Yeah,
yeah, it was gorgeous.
So I again, I'm sure Spider-Man India, is that his name? Like, are we calling him Spider-Man India? Is that what we're rocking with?
It's kind of the like there's a new he's got a new series coming out. It starts like on the 14th, I think. It's called Spider-Man India.
Okay.
So he's just Spider-Man, right? So
yeah. Okay.
His name is Pav. I think it's Paviter or something like that.
Yeah. So he I've never seen him up into this movie. He uses a yo-yo, which I think is freaking amazing. And not only is he using a yo-yo, he's using an off-string yo-yo, which is like a obscure yo-yo type. So
it takes talent in its own.
And I love seeing stuff like that. But I do want to kind of talk about all the different locations that we go to, because we see a lot in here. We see like a Lego world. We see all kinds of stuff peppered throughout the movie. But I think the India one is a huge standout for me. I also really love the universe that Miles goes to at the end of the movie, where there's like no Spider-Man and it's dark, and crime's obviously rampant. There's like fires all over the place. I'm like, I need to see some more of that for sure.
Oh, I know you will.
So what location stood out to you guys? We'll start with Dad.
Oh man, I don't know how I pick one. Because I mean, I loved all of them. It's really hard to pick one. I mean, I did like the India one. I even liked the live action crossover too. That was fun.
Yeah.
But I can't pick just one. That's a tough one. I like the classic Miles. His universe is pretty clear cut and dry.
Yeah, easier to see too. The artwork in that universe is much.
I can tell what's going on.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean that's because the India one, it's cool. Like it's got the background, like the bleeding colors outside the lines. Like it's not like they were too lazy or they were lazy and didn't take the time to do the art.
Yeah.
It's just that was the style. So they were true to it, and that goes with all of them, really.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's my 2 cents of the places.
What about you, Jordan?
I'd definitely, India's up there. The Lego world is the biggest surprise for me.
Yeah, for sure.
Like, what?
Definitely.
I can't say that it's like, the most like jaw dropping of all the locations, obviously,
right.
But definitely the most surprising. Honestly, probably the center where all the Spider-Men go to, and Spider-Women and Spider-They go to. Yeah. It's just it's one of those movies that they accomplished it again. The first one does it in a little more of an atmospheric way, but this one makes you just want to like look around and like see what you've missed. You feel like you could watch it in the next like 15 times and still catch different things. So I have to give it to that. And can I also say something? The choreography of like the animation is ridiculous too. When they're all chasing him. Yeah. When they're all chasing him, you find yourself kind of like looking around, like observing everything and the patterns of where they're jumping, and the more the more Hulk type of Spider-Men are like, lower, but they're heavier hitting, and the smaller ones are flying up. And Peter B's got his, has Mayday in his pouch. But it's just it's such a good job. It's
yeah, definitely.
One of my favorite parts of that whole thing is when they're chasing him and they cut to the psychiatrist Spider-Man.
Yeah.
And then they all burst through the wall.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Like, let me guess, he died.
Let me guess, he died. Dude, this I'll be honest with you. I was laughing out loud several times during this movie.
Yeah.
It's definitely fun. I mean, I think Into the Spider-Verse was pretty funny too. But I think this one's definitely up there on its comedic value. But I would agree with you on I didn't necessarily like 2099's world, like the futuristic world, but the actual location where you see all the spider people, I loved, because there's just so many that they don't even nod to that you can see in the background.
Yeah.
Spider-Man from the PS4 game is in there.
Yeah, that's crazy.
We see a live action childish Gambino Prowler. And
yes.
I do want to point that out because he played Aaron Davis in Homecoming.
Yep.
He's in it briefly in a parking deck where he interacts with Peter. So I don't know if they're hinting maybe that's coming. I'm hoping so. I'm hoping that we're going to get a live action Miles Morales, and I think it is certainly going to happen, especially with the success of these two films.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I think they'll definitely they'll end this and try to capitalize obviously on the eventually the rush of the the style will fade out a little bit for them, just inevitably, and then they'll make them live action. It makes you wonder how they're going to do it though, because if they did anything like that's canon at all, that Miles would never become Spider-Man in the MCU. Right. So will this Miles, like the cartoon Miles, jump into the MCU and become a real boy? Who knows? Who knows?
We could probably talk about him later, but the Spot.
Yeah. I mean, we can talk about him early because he shows up pretty early. Right when we catch back up with Miles after the intro with Gwen. And I do want to talk about Spot because I think he's really, really well written and well acted in this movie. He's just hilarious.
Yeah.
Like he's just a nerd that turned into it. You know what I mean? He's doppy. Everything about him is great. And he's definitely from the comics. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah. He was, he's relatively, he's like an 80s villain. I think he came out in the 80s.
Yeah.
80s or late 70s, but good.
Yeah. Yeah, I think he's great. I wish that we saw more of him throughout the back half of this movie. He's kind of off screen powering up for a majority of the movie, and I'm sure they're setting up a big clash between them in the third film. But yeah, dude, just that first intro scene in like the bodega where he's trying to steal the money out of the ATM, and like he's punching himself through or hitting his hand on the back of the ATM and stuff. It's just
his hat.
Yeah,
his hat was so good.
Dude, and like his just animation, just fluid, like that, almost like liquid type movement, and like his spots and everything.
Yeah,
I was telling Aiden when we went to see it. It was like one of my favorite things about him was he was talking about how he's going to become more powerful and he'll become an actual threat, and he's like, you'll start taking me serious. But you have like 3 or 4 Spider-Man he's just tossing around and beating the hell out of. They can't get him, but he's still saying eventually I'll be more powerful and you'll take me. Like, you should take this guy's pretty serious already.
Yeah.
Right.
He's not just a villain of the week.
Yeah. He looks like he would be, obviously, but it's I kept having like Polka Dot Man from Suicide Squad pop in my head every time I looked at him.
Yeah, and this is our first intro back to Miles. The first time we see him in the film, he's like warming up an empanada or something while he's watching this dude steal it. That whole sequence is amazing. The whole fight sequence afterwards was really well done too.
Yeah, but being upside down with the mask hanging there while he's eating. You capture Miles right there. It is.
Yeah. So, and I do want to point out, like, although the animation and everything going on in this movie is very fast, this is a much slower film than the first one. Like we get a lot of context with Miles' family and his drama between his parents and his drama at school. We had a little bit of that and Into the Spider-Verse, but I did feel like the story beats were a little slower paced throughout. And I don't know, it worked for me. And I don't know if it worked for you guys, the slower pace of it, or.
Yeah, I mean,
real quick, it did. I mean, it was more of a setup, right? This is like you have a little bit of a cliffhanger at the end, you know.
Yeah.
The first one was a complete story,
Right.
right? So it had the speed to have the comedy, have the emotion, have the uphill battle and the downhill battle to the victory, and then up into the sky with the happy ending. This is kind of like, okay, let's revisit the world and see what it's evolving into, and it's evolving into a whole lot more. And they realize they want to obviously make a little small series off of it. And so I think that's what contributed to it overall.
Yeah. I mean, they wanted to take the time for you to fall more in love with these characters and see what they're about. Like seeing Gwen was great because you got to see, what she was dealing with before. Like we got more of that.
Right.
And see how she's been since the first movie with her dad and all this stuff. A lot of family dynamics for sure. But no, it was good. The pacing I thought I didn't have a problem with the pacing.
No, I didn't. Yeah, I didn't either. I was worried that maybe the boys would, just because it was a little slower, but they didn't say a word of the whole time. I mean, they were like locked to the screen, which was fun. But in Gwen's universe, is her dad dating Aunt May, or are they just like, hey, they don't really have any context to it? She's like making dinner at her house, and he's like sitting down to eat or something. I was like, okay, maybe that's a thing in her universe. Like,
I guess I didn't catch that.
Yeah, she's over at at their house, and I think Peter's there too. It's before Peter dies when they're kind of describing everything there at the beginning.
And it was really at the beginning, right? It's funny the first like 15 to like 20 minutes. Like my allergies got so bad in there, and my eyes were just like swelling up. So I was like sitting there, kind of like, like trying to watch it. And ours also had the audio issue. So I think I don't know if you heard about that, but there was like a weird
I didn't.
Yeah, there's like a weird audio issue that plagued a lot of showings of it. But I think
what kind of like just blanked out audio or what?
Yeah, it's like
super low,
completely muffled out. And it's so I think maybe during the first like 15 minutes, I either just kind of closed my eyes and just tried to rest for a second before the movie really picked up or something. So I very well could have missed something early on. It's actually saying that now, it's probably a really good thing that I just didn't come till like 15 minutes into this.
Right. Yeah.
So stars aligned.
Not to totally derail us, but what exactly in the movie theater are you allergic to?
Oh no, it's like so it's outside, but sometimes
but you brought. I gotcha.
Exactly,
okay.
The air ventilation could bring it in.
It hits you. Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
I was gonna say like what, like just plastic and popcorn butter?
Maybe you just needed like
fun. Yeah,
I'm surrounded by allergies right now.
Yeah.
maybe you needed an epic sneeze before you went to the movie.
If I can tell you this, the way my face was, the person in front of me did not need that epic sneeze.
Yeah. So that he's saying that because before we went on air, I told him I sneeze twice a year, and I sneezed right before I came on. So I was like still recovering from it while I was talking. So I had to explain my odd behavior to him. So to get back to the movie, I want to talk about the vulture, which is from the Italian Renaissance, which is so good, dude. Like I wish we saw way more of him. I don't know if this is from the comics. Probably is.
Yeah, I don't know.
It's somewhere. But I didn't even.
I want to see more of him though. I want to see more of that one.
That was so cool.
Yeah, he was just basically, where the hell am I and who the hell are you? Like,
right.
He was. It was great.
Yeah. And he's like making fun of the art and stuff. And I didn't even catch it. Like when they get to the scene, the cop's like talking maybe to Gwen's dad, and she's like, "Do you speak Italian?" And I'm like, didn't even register. Like, why do they need to speak Italian until they get into the building?
Right.
And this guy's from the Renaissance, so that was another thing that was awesome. But I really want to get to what I really want to talk about, and that's Spider-Man 2099 in this movie. I don't know if you guys loved him as much as I did.
Oh yeah,
I
I
think he's
freaking loved
freaking
him.
amazing in this movie.
I had that action figure too as a kid.
Yeah,
Oh yeah.
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 And I don't know, like, is he a vampire?
No,
Is
so
that part of the story? You might, yeah.
he's-
Describe his story, because I don't know if I know too much of it from the '90s. I just liked his suit.
Yeah, they did, which is fair enough, right? That's just, his suit is freaking phenomenal.
Yeah.
So he's actually genetically like modified with spider DNA in him. So he'll do the bite, to kind of KO the opponent completely, or in some cases drain their blood. His webs are organic. So it's, I remember I was telling Aiden also this when I was a kid and we saw the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man and his webs were organic. I remember my older brother being like, "Oh, it's like Miguel O'Hara from Spider-Man 20." I'm like, "Okay, whatever, I didn't give a shit."
Yeah.
I remember him saying that now, and it really clicks in. But yeah, it's he's modified, and his mask actually it dims the light, so he can actually handle like heavy light. That's exactly why he freaked out, obviously, when the light hit him. But yeah, so he's definitely not all the way human.
Yeah. So I didn't know that about the organic, because I know that was like a huge deal when those Tobey Maguire movies came out. Was like people were really upset that he had organic webs.
Right. In the '90s cartoon, obviously, we saw Peter run out of web fluid like every other episode.
Right.
And so it was always a thing.
And it always seemed like an important part of his character too, that he developed the web shooters. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah. It brings his the chemistry and the science behind it is just his whole academic background.
Yeah.
Right. Well, that's like in No Way Home when they're all talking and they're like, "You shoot those out of your."
Yeah.
Because the other ones made they made the shooters.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's.
Yeah, it definitely panned out, at least for that scene in the movie, because it was entertaining to watch them all go crazy over his organic web shooters. But back in the day, I remember it not being very, very popular by any stretch of the imagination. So let's talk a little bit more about Spider-Man 2099. Oscar Isaac voices him in this movie, which I didn't know until like 5 minutes before I came down here. He's just I don't know, man. He's just awesome, and he kind of becomes like I don't want to call him the bad guy. I guess you can call him the bad guy towards the back half of the movie. But yeah, there's just something about him, man. Maybe he's always like this in the comics. Maybe that's just how his character is. He's very almost Batman-like, if we can say that.
He has when he meets Spider-Man in the comics, they did like a crossover. He's definitely the more serious and more, like let's just get the job done. He'll do things, and you can picture it. Peter Parker's just staring at him like deer in headlights. Like, are you about to bite that guy?
Yeah.
Like it's just like he blinks his eyes.
Yeah.
So yeah, he's definitely like that. Not to this extent. Right. They definitely give him like he's like in charge of like the Spider-Verse TVA from Loki, the Time Variant Authority, and it's a cool spin, and it fits perfectly fine. I'm assuming he'll be more on Peter's side in the next one. When Spot shows back up, or they introduce like new bad guys like the Inheritors or something like that. And it's although I don't know if you guys know about the Inheritors or not, but they may not do. It wasn't a huge like a very popular thing, but it's really cool that it's a group of vampires who travel to different Earths, eating different Spider-Men. Because they're all connected to the spider totem, which is this magical relic they have that somehow they're connected to it. They kind of change it to the anomaly. So whether they use it and spin it on that, but yeah, there's a Spider-Man villain named Moreland who's like kind of the main one behind it. It's I like it.
That'd be a good way to twist it. Yeah.
This
would be perfect for it by the way you're describing it. Yeah. So I loved 2099 through and through. I hope we see more. I'm sure we're going to see more of him.
Yeah, actually, I bought that skin for Aiden on Fortnite, and I sent it to him. We saw the movie. I'm like, damn it, I kind of want it now, too.
Yeah.
Well, isn't the reason why he's doing what he's doing is because he's trying to tell Miles not to, like, there's a reason why their people have died and not to
Yeah.
mess with it or whatever.
Yeah, it's like the space-time continuum thing they got going on that they don't want to disrupt is how I took it, right?
Yeah,
Like if you
the-
try
the-
to interrupt,
the anomalies.
if you
Yeah.
try to interrupt the deaths, then it's going to cause the collapse of the whole world. And they
Right.
showed that. I think 2099's world, he like maybe jumps to a different dimension, and him in that dimension ends up dying, but he has a daughter and he ends up like taking over her life or whatever, you know, taking over his life and living with her until everything kind of collapses around him.
Right.
And you know, I don't know if that's from the comics, probably not. But I think
No.
it's a cool spin. I think it gives him the darkness. That's why he's so dark, probably because he had this happy life before it all
But
collapsed.
You know, he's doing. I mean, like he's pissed off at Miles for, you know, being an anomaly. But like, dude, you're kind of an anomaly too, man. Like you died, and then it's like,
right.
Yeah.
And I just really enjoyed the way they spun all that stuff towards the middle of the movie there. Like they say that the you know, every Spider-Man has a police captain they're close to die.
Right.
And then that's got Gwen thinking like, my dad's a police captain, and Miles' dad is about to become a captain. And I like the way they spin it where when Gwen gets back, like her dad quit. So like, does that change? Like, there's so many questions. Does that change everything? Like, he's not a captain technically. So is he going to die? There's just, just liked all the little twists we were getting, especially the one at the end, which we'll get to eventually. But the next thing I want to talk about is Spider-Punk, which shows up in this movie. And I loved him, man. Everything about him, all his lines are hilarious.
Yeah.
Like when he says like, I'll do it, but not because you told me to do it.
Right.
Totally a punk rocker thing to say.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. I think he's great, man. I've had a little bit of knowledge on Spider-Punk, but not much. What'd you guys think of him?
Jordan. He was a great addition to create a variance between the animation in the first one and this one. There's no, whether you like the character or not, he created that new, you know, dynamic in animation and action. So it was definitely needed. I definitely liked him though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you think, Dad?
I liked him. I mean, it's just another way that they're blending all these different art styles together. One of my favorite lines that he says is, I was cool the whole time.
Yeah. Yeah.
He takes his mask off.
Yeah.
Super, super cool.
Super cool. Yeah. I knew that. So when Brady played the Spider-Man game, that was like one of his favorite outfits. So I know he was going to get amped when he came on screen, and he got amped. So it was fun to watch.
Speaking of, sorry. So we took a poll on YouTube of all the new newly introduced Spider people. The options were Spider-Man 2099, Spider-Punk, Jessica Drew, and Spider-Man India. Spider-Punk won.
Really interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting. Beating out 2099.
And,
I mean,
it
really, the 2099 thing is probably just my like emotional tie to that suit from a kid.
Oh,
you know what I mean? That I was so
absolutely.
excited to finally see him in something. But yeah, Spider-Punk's awesome, and I hope that I would love to see some of these characters get offshoot movies. I don't know if that will ever happen. I'm hoping. I thought I had heard that Nicolas Cage's Spider Noir was getting like a movie, but I don't know if that's true.
There's supposed to be in development Amazon TV show. Now I'm sure it won't be Nicolas Cage. You know, it's like the Spider Noir kind of has like that, like, you know, 40s suave looking. You know, it's Peter. It really is Peter, but he's got, you know, black rimmed glasses on, and he's, you know, 1940s bar fighter.
So as we make our way to the Spider headquarters, did they even call it a name? I can't remember.
I was trying so hard to think of what the name was.
Yeah, I thought there was a name to it.
I feel like there is.
I feel like there is too. Spider Society, maybe. I don't know. They kind of start explaining. We kind of hinted at it, like the captain thing dying. Every Spider-Man has like a close family member that dies, and then a police captain they're close to dies. and they're explaining this to Miles, and he's kind of discovering that, you know, he's throughout the whole movie really trying. I think he's really falling for Gwen, so he's like got pictures of her in his notebook and everything. So he misses her, but then once he finds out about this society, he's like all about it. Like he wants to join. They won't let him really for whatever reason, and we learn later, I think, why that reason is. They don't want him. But he eventually makes his way through a portal that she opens and ends up at this spider society and meets everybody. But during this scene, they're explaining all this stuff to him, and he has the realization that his dad is a captain, or about to be a captain. He needs to get back to his universe to save his dad, right? And that starts off the big giant chase scene that we were talking about, which is awesome. And there's that one point like on the train where there's like 200 of them all piled together, like coming up the train, which I thought was hilarious.
Yeah.
I guess we breezed over the India stuff. Who wants to? Somebody want to describe the India stuff? Because I think it is relatively important, because it Miles kind of screws something up there. That's the captain was supposed to die, but he didn't die because he was saved by Miles. You know, the India stuff is fun to watch, but I don't know, like story wise, if it was really that big of an impact, right?
I
don't think it was.
I think I mean, now that we're talking about it again, maybe it's just, you know, revisiting the fact that Miles is like a chain of anomalies.
Yeah.
It's justifying Miguel's anger towards him, I guess.
Yeah, I think that's exactly.
I used to think, I'm like, why is this guy so pissed off at him? Like, just fix it and move on. But I think he's making a big mess.
Yeah. And I think that's exactly what it is, as well as showing us our first like new location outside of Gwen's universe and Miles's universe is the first one that they come to. But yeah, how did you feel about Miles' reaction? Like, do you think he should have had the reaction? I would have had the same exact reaction. Like, dude, screw all you guys, man. Like, I'm going to save my dad, right?
Oh yeah.
Like, yeah. Like, it's a no-brainer. And I love his comment where he's like, everybody keeps telling me how my story's supposed to go, and he's like, nah, I'm gonna do my own thing. Like, that's so Miles. Like, it's so
I don't care
perfect.
about the rest of the universe.
Yeah, it's so perfect. But during this sequence, they kind of, before the chase scene pops off, trap him in a thing, and Peter B. Parker shows back up from the original movie, and he's got a baby this time. Now in the original, he like got a divorce because he didn't want to have kids, and he was like the fat, lazy Spider-Man who trains Miles. And in this one, seemingly him and MJ are back together. They've had a baby. The baby, I don't know if the baby has spider powers or he just gave her a web shooter and she's like zipping around or what's going on there.
She inherits it.
Yeah, I think she
does. She inherit? Okay. I thought, you know, I don't know. I know a lot of people didn't like Peter B. Parker in the original movie. I thought he was freaking phenomenal.
I like
because we don't see that. We don't see that Peter Parker ever. Like, we don't see the fat, worn out, you know, divorcee Spider-Man. So it's a total change on the story. And then in here, he's kind of he's kind of split between, I think, 2099 and Miles, where he's trying to ease Miles into everything, and obviously it's not going well because he's running through the town being chased by everybody. But
he literally went from like the drunk uncle figure to the motherly figure in two movies. Like how that happened.
Yeah. I think the scene with him where he's trying to get him to hold the baby was pretty hilarious. He's just like, just hold the baby. It's so refreshing. Like, just hold the baby. So yeah, eventually Miles makes it out, right? And this is kind of where, and I talked about it kind of at the beginning. Jordan, did you feel like the end of this movie came just like really abruptly?
I did.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I was waiting. I was waiting for more to happen, and then it's just they just turned the movie off. Like, what?
Yeah. I mean, it came out of left. Like, I felt like we were building up to so much at the end there, and I get it now that there's a third movie coming. At the time, I didn't know there was a third movie coming.
I had no idea.
I had no idea either. So I'm like, we're building up like Gwen eventually. So the basic premise is Miles is going back to his universe to try to save his dad, right? So he goes to this machine in the spider facility that is supposed to read his DNA and send him back to the same universe, or the universe he came from. But they explain that earlier on in the movie that the spider that bites him into the Spider-Verse was not from his universe.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's why they call him the anomaly. He was never supposed to be bitten by a spider. The universe that spider came out of no longer has no Spider-Man. So it's like one of the anomalies, right? So when he gets into this machine, it reads the wrong DNA and sends him back to where the spider was from. And we don't really know that for a good portion of the end there, where he's like talking to his mom. And
he's like,
I'm I'm so happy when he said it there, because I was like, finally, he just said it. And she's like, who's Spider-Man?
And they showed Gwen on the outside of the apartment, totally
Yeah.
tricking you, making you think that,
Yeah, the whole time. So the basic premise is Miles goes off, 2099, Scarlet Spider, and I can't remember the other motorcycle one's name.
Jessica Drew.
Yeah.
She's the Spider-Woman,
Yeah, they go chasing after him, right? So they end up going to Miles' universe from the original movie and from the beginning of this movie. And the way they spin it all together, like Dad said, is perfect, because you feel like throughout the entirety of the end that they're in the same universe, and Gwen's right outside the apartment listening to everything that's going on in the inside, but it ends up not being the case. And in the universe that Miles is in, I don't know if his uncle is dating his mom. They don't really say. I don't know if he's just taking care of her because of what happened, but basically in the first movie, Prowler dies, right?
Yep.
Miles's uncle. In this universe, it's actually his dad that dies, and Prowler survives, or the uncle survives. And he kind of hints at it when he first sees him, like, you took your cornrows out. And Miles, you see, is like confused about it. He's like, yeah, totally. Yeah, I mean, totally.
Yeah,
Just still getting used to it. He kind of leads him out, and this is where we see like a brief scene in like the chaotic New York City that this has become without Spider-Man. And I really like this twist at the end here. We see Prowler, who is not his uncle, and it's actually him in this universe. And I love the way they spin it, because in this universe, his dad dies, so assumingly his uncle takes over the father figure role for him, right? So kind of funnels him down that. I also really love that his Prowler outfit, he has Jordans on as well. I just want to point that out. I think that's freaking awesome. So yeah, how'd you guys feel about the twist towards the end here?
I'm pretty sure my jaw hit the floor. I was like, what?
Yeah.
This is awesome.
Yeah.
And I'm excited to see where it's going to go from here, because this is where he's left when the movie ends.
Yeah.
And I loved he had his hand down by the chain and the electricity started to go.
Mm-hmm.
Oh man, it's gonna be so freaking sweet.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I was happy.
Yeah.
It clicked in for me actually while Gwen was still outside. And like I was just like, no way, no, they're not gonna, no way, no, come on, there's no way they're gonna do that, And then when I don't want to say he revealed himself, I guess, his costume, and she was just like, huh? I'm like, it's true. And like it was like having a full conversation with myself in my head,
right?
That whole thing. But, yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely cool. It definitely confused the crap out of the boys. Brady was like, I don't understand what's going on. I was like, I'll explain it when we get out of here. But yeah, I can't wait to see. And this is what I'm talking about. The movie literally abruptly ends right here. It just says to be continued.
Yep.
And in this meantime, while all this is panning out in the apartment with his uncle and the bad Miles, Gwen is off getting all the members from the original team. From the original
rescue
movie.
party.
Yeah, the rescue party.
Yep.
So like, I'm like, oh, dude, we're about to have an awesome freaking superhero fight. Here it comes. And then it's just like, boop, to be continued.
Right.
And like Brady looked at me like, I was like,
what?
Dude, I have no idea.
What'd you do?
yeah, I have no idea.
But then it would have been a 3-hour movie.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think I think, like Dad and I talked earlier, I think that if the plan is to get another movie out next year, it's pretty clear that they probably made a 4-hour movie and just cut it into 2, or
Right.
maybe made a 3-hour movie and is like, we need to split this into 2 because 3 hours for an
Yeah.
animated movie is too long, right?
Like releasing a game without its expansions that are already done.
They're already done, right? Exactly. And honestly, I mean, 2 hours and 20 minutes, I think this movie clocks in at. That's pretty long for an animated movie.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I mean,
it
there,
is.
and even though it was that long, I still wanted more at the end. Like even sitting there, I was like, dude, this is long. Like, what is it? Freaking 5 o'clock? It's got to be 5 o'clock. I'm starving. So even when we get to the end, I'm like, dude, I want more. But yeah, I think there's without question, if the plan is to get it out June of next year, like that's not even remotely enough time for them to animate a movie like this. And we talked about it earlier. There was like Into the Spider-Verse, there was like a 7-second scene that took them like 4 months to animate or something ridiculous.
Yeah.
So, and you have to imagine this one was even more difficult in a lot of its parts, right?
Yeah, and there's something that's really funny. I was thinking to myself, it had the Flash come out first, where Barry goes back in time, saves his mom and everything. That one's like heavily like Back to the Future, the first one. Yeah. This one's a lot like Back to the Future too, but like how he takes it out of there. The sports almanac goes back, and Biff creates Biff's reality where he's like, the city's on fire. There's like he has no law and order. It's like a totalitarian reign of Biff controlling everything.
Yeah,
it's like it was like it felt like Back to the Future too. And I was like, so like the two movies that are like jumping around universes or Earths or timelines. It's obviously Back to the Future is a very influential movie.
Right. Yeah, for sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I do want to kind of go back to the spot because we kind of left him right at the beginning of the movie. So he
left us. He left us.
He did leave us. Yeah.
But we do get hints throughout the movie of what he's doing. He's going through all the different dimensions and going to, I think it's Alchemax or something, which is the lab from the first movie that he worked at. And he also hints. He's like, you threw a bagel at me. There's actually a scene, and it's like a total throwaway scene in Into the Spider-Verse where he just tosses a bagel at a dude and he's running out the door. And that's the guy that becomes Spot, which I think is hilarious. But he's going through all these and becoming more powerful, right? Mm-hmm. Until he eventually becomes Black Spot. Like, I don't whatever he becomes at the end there. Yeah. But it's very like, we didn't get a lot of context what was going on. The spider team chases him for a little bit there, but we don't get much context of where he is at the end of the movie. We just know that he's coming for Miles, presumably. That's why he's becoming so much more powerful. But you do make a good point where he's like whooping the crap out of all these way more veteran Spider-Men, and he's got to become super powerful for Miles. I don't know. We'll have to see how it spins, but yeah, I wish we got more Spot because that first intro scene was like hilarious. I was like, dude, this guy's gonna be great all movie.
It was so good.
And then he just dips.
Just himself running around was just entertaining. He was like watching like a mime, right, or something. I don't know how to.
That's a good way. Yeah, that's a good way to put it for sure.
I mean, he spoke, and honestly, his voice and the way he spoke was, so hilariously constructed. So I guess that's like the exact opposite of a mime, but I don't know. It reminded me of just being entertained by like a one-man show. He did it.
Yeah, he really did. Where else can we go here, you think? Let's talk about maybe where we think the story is going to go from here. It's hard to predict because these stories are so obscure, but Jordan, you might be able to pull something from your comic knowledge. You already kind of did it earlier with the vampire hunting thing. I think that would be a really cool way for them to introduce that. I've never heard of them before, but it sounds really cool.
So what I'm guessing is going to happen is you're probably going to have like, Peter's like elite force, the rescue, You're going to have Miles' rescue party come after him, run into 2099 and his group. There's going to be a civil war of Spider-Men. And much like King Kong and Godzilla, they'll unite to fight the bigger threat, right?
Yeah.
And I think it'll go that route, but there's nothing. It's like a story you can just use over and over and over again. It never gets old because you can just fill in lots of epic characters. But the Inheritors are something that maybe they could touch on. There's a wider thing that's happening here. Like during Spider-Man 2099 talks about how the universe is webbed together, right?
Yeah.
So the larger picture of that is who controls that and who goes through it. It's Madam Web, right? So
Right.
Whether it's the live action Madam Web that's going to tie into this universe, who knows? But there is one more step above what 2099 is doing, and it's definitely her. She doesn't care about the anomaly. She doesn't care about anything. All she cares about is the web is woven. What happens in there, whatever happens. So there's that direction, and I think that more mystical and like science above all other science will maybe that'll pull in the Inheritors a little bit, and maybe she'll mention them. There's just I gotta mention this is a really cool comic panel where the Inheritors are like sitting again. They're vampires, right? So they're like in their like super like big castle type thing at like a they're super like medieval archaic dinner table with a big fire behind them, and there's plates on the table, and there's different Spider-Men like just curled up in like fetal positions that they're eating. It's so brutal.
It's really dark.
You see like rib cages, and you see like some of them that are just drained of like all like bodily juices.
Yeah,
it's cool. So I don't know if they'll go that route. It's kind of it'd be a weird thing to do, but man, I want them to do it so bad.
Yeah, we definitely need more darkness, I think, in the Spider-Man stories. So I know that it's really probably well hated, but the Todd McFarlane run of Spider-Man where he took over his own book, dude, I love it. Yeah. It's so good, it's so dark, everything about it. So I would want that. There's at some point where the MCU needs to get a little darker, and I think that the point that they're at right now, even though I thought the point right before No Way Home came out was the right time to tell like Kraven's Last Hunt or some of these darker stories.
Yeah.
Now's the point where maybe we could start introducing some more dark stuff to that Spider-Man story. I assume there's a fourth Tom Holland movie coming. He seems very vocal about like he's done. So I don't know.
If they show us that reset for Peter Parker and like that suit for Peter Parker, and don't give us a movie on that, then they can all go to hell.
Yeah, I agree. I agree.
Go to hell. I don't even want it. Yeah.
Yeah. I agree, and it could have been, but like some people are spinning it like they took Spider-Man back into the MCU, and now they've reset it to give it back to Sony. So I don't know if that's that could be the way they spin it, man. So there might not be another one, but I think Tom Holland would be an idiot not to come back for a fourth movie.
Who's to say that won't be a Sony movie, right?
Right. Who knows? Yeah, and it could be a Sony movie. And I would like to see that Spider-Man interact with like Venom
because Venom's there now. There's at least a variant of Venom.
Yeah, and we know we have Kraven coming. I don't know really how I feel about a Kraven movie, but we'll see. I keep hearing he's an animal lover. He's supposed to be an animal lover. Oh no, I don't know. That better not be the case. That better not be the case.
And trust me, I love animals. I'm a huge animal guy.
I do too, but Kraven definitely doesn't. That's kind of his entire.
That's why he hunts Peter. He's a unique animal. Oh man, I hope that's not the case, bro.
So yeah, I don't know.
It has to be just a bad rumor.
I hope that's a bad rumor, man. Yeah, I hope so. And we're gonna get, I don't say what you want about I haven't seen Morbius. So have you seen Morbius?
I have. I don't think I'm not like running back to watch it again or anything. I think.
But is it as bad as it was made out to be?
No, it wasn't. It's Jared Leto has the Superman effect. It's cool to hate him. Everything he does, he's got his shit on him. Yeah. It's not like a great movie. There's some dialogue and some scenes where I'm like, oh my god, but Morbius, there's some cool scenes of what he does and how they do it, and I forget the co-star, the guy who played Doctor Who, and he's also in other things, but he's he's got almost a scene that reminds me of Peter when Peter's doing the dance down the street and the
Oh
thing.
no. Oh no.
There's a moment like that. I don't know. It's not a great movie.
Yeah.
It's just it's not as bad as people say it is. You can watch it and you're not gonna like hate your life if you watch it. You'll feel like you're like, okay, I saw it. That there was some entertaining. We're good.
I can't remember who said it, but it might have been Nick that said if you like Venom, you'll probably like Morbius. And I love Venom. I thought Venom was great. I haven't seen the second. I haven't seen the second one.
The second one's it derails the whole.
Oh, great. Yeah.
Everything that was so good about the first one.
It makes me so mad too because I love Carnage.
Yeah.
He's my favorite of the.
Yeah,
Spider-Man
I'm like
villains.
scared to even watch him in that movie, man.
Did you watch Venom 2?
Yeah.
Okay, so the tone.
The tone answers it.
See, I think I was jaded by my love for Carnage that I thought maybe I liked. I mean, I did. I liked it.
A tornado. like, there's very few movies that like when you're watching you like audibly go like, what the hell? That was one of the scenes.
Yeah.
That was one of. He creates a tornado. Like I mean, he spins into a tornado, right? He spins into it like a Carnage tornado. It's like there was a McDonald's Happy Meal spinny toy of Carnage. Like that'd be a great power. Let's do it. Let's do it.
That's exactly where they got it.
Yeah.
Almost certainly. Those cheap McDonald's toys in the 90s had a spinny Carnage.
Was there some fine parts here, but it's just,
I might have watched maybe like the first 20 minutes of it or something. I don't know. I love Carnage too much, and I know that movie got like shredded, but at the same time, Venom got shredded too, and I loved Venom. So
right.
There were definitely parts of it that I really liked, that I enjoyed.
I do remember there being some good parts. The finale battle was just a disaster. Like it was just a complete.
If it says anything about my thoughts about it, I don't remember much of the movie.
Yeah, it says a lot. Yeah, it definitely says a lot.
Trauma like just blocks out certain things.
Out certain things, yeah. Yeah, I don't know. We'll see. I just don't see the plan there with the villain movies. Are they just going to build these villains until they get Spider-Man back, or what? I just don't understand what they're doing, to be honest with you. Because like who else is doing? Are any of the Superman like those are the only villain movies, right? Are there any other villain movies? That just sole villain? No, anywhere. MCU, DC.
Oh, I mean Black Adam technically was
Black
a villain
Adam
movie.
Okay.
Which I still say was not as bad as everyone says it was. It was just, I mean, again, they just shot themselves in the foot. I mean, Deadpool technically.
Yeah,
I guess. Deadpool
to me is a hero. I don't know.
See, and that's why he's a great character at the core. I'm not a huge Deadpool fan at all, but it's a great character because I still see him as a villain.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I think
not like totally
Ryan
dastardly
Reynolds,
or anything, but it's
I love Deadpool, and I think Ryan Reynolds was just freaking made to play that role. To be honest with you,
I agree.
Just
born
for it.
That was his
born for it.
Yeah. I'd always said when they did the Green Lantern movie, I was like, what? He was like my fan cast at that time as for Barry Allen. I wanted him to be the Flash. I thought he'd be a great Barry Allen, and which not to stay on DC, but like the whole Ezra thing, like it's the biggest misstep for that character in the beginning was it's just is Ezra a good actor? Yeah. Is he a psychopath? Yeah. But like it's just a complete miscast,
right?
In general for Barry Allen, and it definitely takes me out of it. But I mean, I'm excited for it still. But
it looks good, man. I'm not gonna lie. It's the first DC movie that I was like, I might go see that. I might go see it. I haven't seen a DC movie since maybe the Dark Knight trilogy. That might have been the last DC movie I've seen.
Yeah. So there's at least a couple you should see. Honestly, Aquaman is. I think you should watch Aquaman. You might actually really like Aquaman. Funny story. I think on one other episode I said this, but during Aquaman, like I brought in like a little. I was really excited for Aquaman. Okay, I was really excited. So I brought in like a little flask type thing. I was like drinking like a lot, like some whiskey during it. Yeah, sucking back on Grandpa's old cough medicine.
Yeah.
And I was sitting there with Kelly, right, and my fiance, and her ex-husband, Mike, really cool guy, and my future stepson, Aiden. They went to the same showing. Totally cool. We're like, hey, you guys enjoy the movie? We'll see you afterwards. When you drink alcohol, you got to pee a lot.
Yes.
And
Happens.
I had that. I had like, the big gulp Coke, a cola, or Pepsi, or whatever, And I'm watching a movie where it's nothing but running water.
Yeah.
Of course.
I'm not even exaggerating. I went pee like 8 or 9 times.
Yeah.
And it wasn't like I go in there and it's just like, okay, couple weeks,
10 seconds,
spurts of pee.
Yeah.
It's like, just full on, like fire hose, like hold on, make sure it doesn't get in your eyes or mouth. It was just like.
This is gonna be clipped for a short, by the way.
But I remember like the 5th or 6th time I leaned over to Kelly. I'm like, I'm embarrassed, and she's like, again. she knew exactly what I had to do. I can't, like, I don't know. When people do that, you think, oh, there's some kind of medical problem,
Yeah.
And so you don't really think twice about it. But as the person who doesn't have a medical problem, I thought about it. I'm like, do I have a problem? Yeah. Anyway, long story longer. Aquaman's a good movie. As a DC movie, you should see it.
It's definitely one of the better ones, I think. Aquaman
yeah. So,
was.
I mean, my hang up there is like I only really have any tie to Batman, and that's it. Like I don't know anything about Aquaman. I know virtually nothing about the Flash.
Aquaman's just a fun movie. You could go see it. The first Shazam is so good. It is insane how good that movie is, and it's very underrated.
Like
yeah,
and I'm talking like it's like epic, like the award nominee. It's just so much fun. And the second one's way underrated. I went into that honestly. I went into that like as this isn't going to matter, right? It's gonna get canceled. It's a damn good time. Like they do what they do with that. If you like, you like fantasy stuff, like wizards and stuff like that, right? Are you a Harry Potter fan or no?
No, I can't say I am. No, okay, I mean, I tried very hardly to get into it when the game came out, and it just like.
I'm not either. Harry Potter is one of those universes like where you see how some things are like, it's kind of cool, like the books that fly around and stuff like that. They do stuff like that. Shazam's full of like, it's not just like it's literally like a Deadpool meets Superman thing, and it's surrounded by like, dragons flying in space and crazy wizards and all this. It's a lot of fun, but it's also it has horror elements. Like there's some parts of the first movie and the second movie you're like, holy they just did that.
Really?
They just did did that. Yeah. So anyway,
definitely
not to fly off on a different tangent there, but they're worth it.
Yeah, I definitely will. So let's bring it back to Across the Spider-Verse. Where do we like? Do you rank this among the best of the Spider-Man movies, including all the live action ones? I mean, I think it's like 1 or 2, maybe.
It's
for me.
Pretty close.
It's close.
Are you talking about like this the whole series together, or like this particular one?
This specific one.
This particular one's probably like my top 5 for sure.
Yeah.
Out of other number 2s, it's definitely probably 2 or 1.
Yeah, it's close, man. It's very close.
Out of other sequels, yeah.
And I don't know,
Into the Spider-Verse is it's way up there.
Oh, it is.
Yeah.
I did enjoy that movie more than this one, but I still love this one.
Yeah, I think that, I had to go back and watch Into the Spider-Verse. I know that I absolutely loved it the first time I watched it. Yeah. It felt like the comic-y stuff was kind of missing a little bit from this. There were not a lot of text blocks or, there were some, but it wasn't like as in your face as Into the Spider-Verse.
I think because with that one, it goes back to the one art style versus 6.
Right.
And they're telling multiple stories or showing multiple spider people.
Yeah.
And their art and their world. So
right.
They had a lot of stuff to blend together. So maybe that's why some of it.
And I think
Wasn't
that's
there?
yeah. I mean, I think that's I would yeah. You might be right, Jordan. Maybe it is. Maybe Into the Spider-Verse is better. I think Into the Spider-Verse is just better for the animation style because it's just one style. It's really well done. This is all over the place, but it works really well. So I don't want to make it sound like it's like
Yeah.
bad all over the place. I think they did everything really, really well. And then it was super cool too because the boys and I got back from the movie today, and then Brady's very excited for the Spider-Man 2 game for the PS5,
Yeah.
and it got a release date today.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So, yeah, and they showed Venom for the first time in the game, which looks freaking awesome. So it was just like a Spider-Man day for us. It was awesome.
That's
That's
good.
a great. That's a great day right there, man.
Yeah, it really is. Yeah, I can't wait. October 20th.
Oh, nice.
Is, Spider-Man 2.
I have plenty of time to save up for a PS5.
Yes, you do. Only coming to PS5 too, which kind of sucks for people that don't have a PS5, but
Well, I'll probably have one by then.
it's time. They've been out for like years. We don't need to make
It's
games
time
anymore,
to
right?
It's time to make that.
Well, yeah,
switch.
Time to move on.
You're getting to the point to where you could just accidentally get one for Christmas one year.
Right. Yeah, exactly. So go ahead, Dan.
I just had a couple things.
Okay.
I think in the third one, we're going to see an epic fight between the Mileses.
Yes.
I think there might be several things happening at once. You've got the clash between the rescue squad and Spider-Man 2099 squad.
Yeah.
You have the fight with the Spot. A lot of stuff that could potentially happen. But Jordan, I wanted to ask you, do you think that the Master Weaver will play a role in any of this?
The Madam Web,
No.
the Master Weaver.
Yeah.
Am I trying to? I can't think of what this is.
I
missed something.
Let me think here.
I don't know that I've ever heard of Master Weaver, but
Well, there was a theory they're saying that they were thinking that Spider-Man 2099 was actually the Master Weaver. Kind of like he manipulates timelines and cuts.
they even have
strands
him.
of the web.
I don't know if this is from the film. They even have him credited in Into the Spider-Verse, but I don't remember seeing him
I don't
in
either.
Into the Spider-Verse at all.
Karn?
The Web of Life and Destiny. Oh,
Spider-Zero?
Yeah. This could be. It's funny. It's Karn. Home of the Inheritors. What do you know?
Home of the Inheritors. Yeah.
Is he from Earth 001? Does that ring a bell?
Yeah, I've never. I think this guy is probably more modern.
He hunts down the spider totems to redeem himself.
Yeah, here it is. Yeah, what do you know? So he's kind of he's must be an inheritor.
Interesting.
Yeah, well, Temic Avatar with the spider powers.
Yeah, for whatever reason, when you go to the Marvel database, like the wiki page, fandom page, they have animated versions, and under it, there's no picture or anything. It just says Into the Spider-Verse Miles Morales. Yeah. And then if you click on it, it goes to the movie. So I don't remember ever seeing him in the movie, but that's funny that you brought that up because you might be dead on, Jordan.
Right. Right.
Which is cool because I've never heard of any of this stuff. So it'd be cool to watch.
Yeah, that could be like,
and it already had like,
huge.
Yeah, dude, they could do so many dark things with the third movie because it already had a darker feel. Like that final scene felt very dark. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah,
much darker than the rest of the film.
Absolutely.
So,
I'm trying to find something real quick.
Jordan, do you like the Andrew Garfield movies?
Overall, yeah. No, I definitely do. It's just played by bad villains, horrible villains.
Yeah.
Okay. In my opinion, anyway, I think he's a great Peter Parker. He's definitely different Peter Parker.
He's more true to how the comics were.
Yeah, in a lot of ways, yeah.
Very witty. I loved his like one-liners in those movies. Oh, so good.
Dude.
He was like the 90s, 80s, 90s Peter Parker, where Toby was more like the the mid 60s to
Right.
70s, more emotional, and it's still great, but yeah, it's.
I'll be honest with you, man. I cannot go back and watch those Tobey Maguire movies.
Really?
Like they hold no value to me whatsoever. They're awful today.
Really?
I cannot go back and watch them. They're just like horribly acted. The first one's okay, but then after that, and the third one, like there's no arguing, is a total train wreck.
The third one's pretty rough.
Yeah, it's real rough.
Sandman was done great in my opinion.
Yeah,
but
I think utilized a lot.
Yeah, no, he's not. I think the second one was really good with Doc Ock. I thought the first one was really good too. I think Green Goblin kind of like the way they did him aged kind of poorly with his outfit, but
it's like I don't know if it's just because I've watched the Andrew Garfield movies and the Tom Holland ones now, but now going back and watching those, they almost seem like a parody of Spider-Man. They really do. Like if you go back and watch them now, they seem like a parody of Spider-Man. Like the comedy just doesn't land in the universe. You know what I mean? It just seems like they're making fun of the universe.
Honestly, it's not the movie's fault at all. But who James Franco is like today, just kind of taints the movie a little bit. Not in a bad. Not that I don't. I dislike James Franco. It's just I can't take him that serious.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm like waiting for him to like break character or something.
Yeah.
Yeah. But no, I honestly, I do still like, at least the first two I still really like. If they're on TV, it's one of those on TV movies I'll still watch.
Yeah. Did you find what you were looking for?
No. I can't find what I'm looking for at all.
What were you trying to look for?
I think I just found it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I'm actually trying to like look and see like when like Master Weaver was introduced.
Oh, okay.
He seems like way more modern.
I mean, the artwork they have for him is very modern looking. So I don't know.
Let's see. 2014. Okay.
Oh wow.
Yeah. That explains why that means it was okay. So that means it was probably like towards the Edge of the Spider-Verse series, and there it is. Yeah. Edge of the Spider-Verse series, it's like there's so much that starts happening. You're like, I'm gonna go broke if I try to read all these stories,
Right.
And the majority of them weren't that good, but it's
But that would be a really good twist for them to do in a third movie where we don't have we have these hunters coming in to try and collect the Spider-Man. That would be really, really cool.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean it might be set up perfectly for it then.
It is. It really is. Because we think we know where they're gonna go with the story. With everything they set up, but this is a perfect way to throw a curveball.
Yeah, and honest, if the Spot keeps opening up different dimensions, he might let him in, right?
May let him in, yeah, great.
Yeah,
point.
He's doing so much.
Yeah.
Yeah, he might be like, oh man, I effed up. Let's team up now.
Team up.
The Spot's a good guy all of a sudden.
Yeah, you got to assume that at some point, not the Spot, but you got to assume at some point in the next movie, like the Spider people are going to team up. Like they're probably going to fight for the first 20 minutes of the movie, maybe.
Yeah. If you guys want to laugh and have a good time and see some really cool epic intertwining, a movie that kind of did what this movie did, obviously not nearly as grand scale, but just in a super entertaining way, is Teen Titans versus Teen Titans Go. So there was like a serious Teen Titans TV shows cartoon, Teen Titans Go, which is like the cartoon hilarious version.
Yeah.
They literally run into each other in the universe, and then they break it, and then they go into all the other universes, like the serious ones, all the different cartoon ones, the old comic ones, all these things, and they all get together for a big battle, and it's freaking hilarious. You just like I was crying laughing.
Oh wow.
There's a point where Santa Claus is like chasing them through different dimensions, and Santa Claus is a villain in Teen Titans Go. It's downright hilarious, but it's the serious Nightwing's like, what was it, Santa Claus?
Yeah.
Anyway, I diverge. Go.
All right, what else? Anything else we want to talk about on the Across the Spider-Verse?
Man, it could be like a 3-hour show, but I mean, I think it's a pretty cool, thing to bring up. I've been trying so hard to avoid spoilers for everything.
Yeah.
Right? And it turns out it's good having a kid because you don't talk to as many people, so you don't
Yeah.
run into as many spoilers. So I'm hoping the Flash doesn't get totally spoiled for me. Some of the things have, but it's this movie, I was able to be super surprised by a lot of things. And honestly, having this conversation, one of the theories, if it's Master Weaver, it's pretty cool. He sounds a little cooler than someone named Madam Web.
Yeah, for sure.
Right.
For
yeah.
sure. Yeah.
But Madam Web was sweet in like the old cartoon in the 90s.
Yeah. She's like the old lady that you just don't want to mess around with. She'll just beat you with like a rolling pin or something.
It does. I'm still just throwing through a loop that it's credited. That character's credited in the Spider-Verse. It's like I don't remember hearing that at all, or anything in that movie about it. But I don't know. Maybe again, this is like a.
You said into the Spider-Verse, not across the Spider-Verse, right?
Correct. Okay. Yeah.
Because I could see maybe, and I want to go back and watch it now. Maybe like Miguel mentions the Master Weaver when he talks about the the woven universe.
Yeah, it could be. Yeah, it could be. I don't know. This is going to be a movie that I'm going to have to really pick apart because there's just so much stuff going on. There's so much stuff going on in the background. It's going to take probably a couple home watches to get everything out of this. You know what I mean? And I think that goes back to the like quickness of the animation. Like there's just so much stuff going on so quickly that it's easy to miss a lot of it.
It's very busy.
Because it's very busy. Yeah.
But good.
But I need to know more about the Spider-Man that uses a yo-yo, bro. Like that's just so cool. It kind of makes me mad because I had like an idea for a superhero that used a yo-yo, and I didn't even know that one existed. So guess I'm screwed. I'm not gonna make my millions on my character.
There's and actually again, not to bring up DC again, but in the comic book Flashpoint, Harley Quinn, her name is Yo-Yo, or it's close to it, something similar, and she uses these yo-yos with like razor string on them.
Oh wow, nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. Always thought it would be cool to see. So it was cool to see in this movie. I didn't know Harley Quinn did that though.
Yeah, not like what Pavitra did, but she was a little more attractive doing it, but he did.
Yeah.
So did we already talk about our favorite Spider-Man from the movie?
No, we can do. Yeah, let's definitely do that.
Okay.
I don't know if we did or not. Maybe we did.
I mean, I know who yours is, Chad.
Who do you think mine is?
Spider-Man 2099.
Yeah, you're right. I thought you were gonna say Spider-Man India because I was just talking about it.
Right.
But yeah, definitely 2099 for sure. Again, I have no draws to the actual character. Just the suit's badass, and it was really cool to see him in an animated movie. And I think they did a really good job here with him as well. Like just a lot of the shots of him, he's just very dark, dude. He's just got like a Batman vibe. I don't know. There's something about him.
It's like if Jango Fett was Batman.
Yeah.
Reminds me of like a Clemson. I mean, I know it's like the whole South American look to him, but it's it's got the tone and the I don't know.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, with Spider-Man 2099, there's an alternate suit where he's white. He's
it's in
with the black and red.
Yeah, it's in the Spider-Man game. It's really cool looking too. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a cool one.
What about okay, let's go we'll save Dad for last since you asked the question. Jordan, who is your favorite?
Man. It has to be from this one, right?
It has to be from this one, yeah.
Okay.
Well, they do have a lot to pick from.
To be fair, whatever you say is probably in this movie.
And they are, they're like Spider Noir and Spider Ham are two of my favorite versions.
Yeah.
And Spider Noir is obviously the pulp comic character brought into it with the detective. He's very Batman-esque and he uses guns. I love guns. And Spider Ham's a Looney Tunes character. It's phenomenal, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
But if I had to like narrow it down to this particular one, I want to say just every time I saw the Scarlet Spider, I was like, I love how it's like straight 90s art. That was up there. I just hated what they do with the character.
Did you though? I mean, he was kind of like that in the comics, wasn't he? He was always a darker, depressed.
But he was like, he was like self-absorbed. I think they kind of went like toxic masculinity type of thing on him. Like, it's a little bit, I think that was kind of what they were doing with that.
Yeah.
But I mean, when it comes down to it, every time Spider-Man 2099 was on the screen, you're just like, oh, this is awesome.
Yeah.
This is so cool. When he runs with using it's like very like primal.
His spikes, dude.
Yeah, and he has literally the coolest takedown when he grabs Miles by the back of the neck and just slams his head into the. It's got to be him. It's got to be him. There's so many cool ones. I also love seeing the Fortnite 0 Point Spider-Man walking around. It's one of my favorite modern designs of him.
Yeah,
but Spider-Man 2099, I gotta do it.
Yeah, the other thing to go into Spider-Man 2099 is the score that's on every time he's on the screen, like chasing after. It's the same, I think, for Prowler in the original movie that I don't even know. You know what I mean? It makes him so eerie sounding.
Yeah,
the score really adds to it.
Yeah, I gotta pay more attention to that.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's the exact score that we saw every time Prowler was on screen in the original one.
Interesting.
But Dad, that leaves your question only unanswered by you, sir.
Anytime I say Jeff, by the way, it means Dad. I can't get on board with it. I can't. It's just hard.
Can't get on the
dad.
Oh, this 0 Point. Yeah, this 0 Point suit is in the game too. I wondered what.
Oh, is it?
Something similar to it at least. Maybe not exactly this. I'll send you the one that I'm talking about. Dad, who's your favorite?
I'm sorry, before you answer, Jeff. In the background, I kept seeing black suit Spider-Man. I'm like, is that a Venom? Is it not a Venom? What's going on? And I don't think I saw anti-Venom out there at all. Did you guys?
No, I did not see anti-Venom.
I feel better. Okay.
I wasn't sure about. I think there was a symbiote suit Spider-Man, but there's a couple suits of Spider-Man where he's just black. Right. You know what I mean, and not tied to the symbiote. So. I don't know. Like I said, it's going to have to be like when I get the Blu-ray, pause and look in the back and see who everybody is. Right. You know?
All right, Jeff. Dad.
It's a toss-up between Miles and Spider-Man 2099.
Okay.
2099 is just. I just remember that action figure, man. Like it was just so cool.
Yeah.
His design, his outfit was awesome. Yeah, so cool.
There was never a show done around it, obviously, because we weren't, really doing this back then. But like when Into the Spider-Verse came out, it was so cool to see Chris Pine's Peter Parker Spider-Man and Miles' universe, the one that got killed.
Yeah,
he was like he was a perfectly voiced Spider-Man. He they colored it perfectly. It was great. That's mention that. But Miles of 2099, huh? Interesting.
I do have to give a nod to Miles. I think Miles is really, really strong. His suit's awesome in this too. His new suit is really, really cool.
It's so cool.
I love the spray paint logo. It's on point for his character. So.
Yep.
The suit that I'm talking about, Jordan, that was in the game is the Aaron Aikman armor. It looks very similar to your suit. I don't know who Aaron Aikman is. Some Spider-Man. But it looks a little similar to your suit. It's a little more armory than the 0 Point.
Oh yeah. Similar.
Dude, wait till you see.
Oh, yeah.
So I have to just complain about this real quickly. The deluxe edition of Spider-Man 2 comes with some of the ugliest suits I've ever seen. Like I think they just made them all up, to be honest with you. If you look up the deluxe edition and look at the suits, there's one's called Iraq Knight where he has like a Batman cowl and a cape.
Oh,
I'm like, no, bro, no.
It's actually a universe where there's like an amalgam of characters, and he actually merged with Moon Knight in that one. That's where that.
Oh, okay. That explains it because he looks exactly like Moon Knight. Yep. Yeah, that's the exact.
Yep.
The
Iraq Knight.
Yep.
And then there's
the
like,
colors are all over.
Yeah, there's a bunch of other ones. they don't really have names for them yet, so you'd have to look them up. But yeah, the Arachnite ones, I'm like, nah, bro, not pre-ordering for those because I'll never wear those.
Yeah. Like, what is this, Assassin's Creed?
Yeah, that's exactly what it looks like because he's even got the freaking like triangle thing at the tip of the hoodie, you know?
Yeah.
Right.
Not into it.
Yeah, there's the Aaron Aikman one. I was looking at that. It's I always hated that suit. It drove me nuts.
Really?
But yeah, but he was like the Aaron Aikman character is like
I'm gonna watch listening to us.
He was like a scientist. Like he was like manually splicing his DNA with like insects. I don't know if it was more than just spiders or not, but yeah.
Gotcha. Okay.
Psycho.
Yeah.
Weirdo.
Yeah, his boots are like ridiculous looking on that suit.
I know.
That's why I can never wear it. I can't stand. Yeah, they're awful looking.
Yeah, I remember when I was a kid, I thought it was like Tony Stark, like made. I mean, it wasn't that long ago it came out, but it was like when I was younger and I saw it, it looked like Tony Stark like made like an early Iron Man suit and fitted it on like a Spider-Man suit.
Right.
Oh man.
All right. I think we did we cover our bases on anything else? And anything else either of you want to get off your chest about Across the Spider-Verse?
I'm gonna see it again.
Are you?
Obviously.
Yeah. I'll probably wait till it comes out.
Oh yeah, I'll wait till it comes out. But
yeah, I'll definitely wait till it comes out.
I'm seeing The Flash next. That's on the 16th, I think. So
that'd be a good one.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's close. Yeah, I didn't realize it was coming out that quickly.
And again, I can only assume it's going to be a celebration of all things DC, right? It's going to.
It looks like it is. Yeah, it looks like it is.
It'll do what this did, and it's exciting. It's cool that things can be made, and it's eventually like you can't keep doing the reboots. You just got to kind of merge it all together, and both companies know that, I think, and it's they're doing it. It's fun.
Yeah, this was very fun. Very fun experience.
Colorful, fun. It's,
definitely. I think they. I told the story before you came on, Jordan, that like DC just has vastly superior animated movies.
Yeah.
But Marvel now has these two movies, which are like maybe better than all the DC ones. So there's only two over on the Marvel section that are probably worth watching, but they're really, really good.
They're really, really good.
They're really good.
Yeah.
So
I'm curious to see. If they're like, Batman Beyond could work now. Okay, let's look into this a little bit.
Yeah.
Especially with how 2099 is. If they moved fast on that, it's something they could take on. But
I also wanted to, and they showed the trailer for it prior to this movie. Did you guys see the new Ninja Turtle movie?
Yes.
Dude, the one that's so good.
Seth Rogen's.
Yes, it looks so. It's the same generally. I'm not an animator by any stretch of the imagination, but it's the same style of animation as Into the Spider-Verse.
Yeah.
So, dude, have you seen the trailer, Jordan?
Yeah. No,
okay,
there is definitely some cool things about it. Yeah.
Yeah. I haven't seen a Ninja Turtle movie in years.
Like, some things I'm like, oh yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. I just like the style of Into the Spider-Verse, so it was very reminiscent of that.
Yeah.
Like we said, I don't know what it might have been the last one I was on with. We talked about it. It changed everything when it came to animation.
Yeah.
They wanted to look completely real, and now they want to that came out and everyone's like, okay, cool. Let's just go for as crazy artistic as we can, and people will enjoy it.
Yeah, and I think that's definitely the way. Yeah, definitely the way that they should continue the comic book movies, because I think it's the right way to do it. Now, granted, is it probably significantly harder and more time consuming and more you got to dump a lot more money into it? I'm almost positive, but I'm sure it makes up its money.
It's a double-edged sword, right? Because you get more of it, but then it just becomes Disney's seeing this, right? Some of our favorite franchises, we got so much of them, but it's just so watered down to where the quality just gets diluted a little bit. And you don't want that to happen, but it doesn't matter. I'm sure this next one's gonna be just as amazing as this one, and they'll finish strong with it. And no matter what they do in the future, just like Star Wars, you can always go back to the original 3.
Right? Yeah. Exactly. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Jordan's
always got a knock on the prequels anytime he's on here.
I like the now these days I love the prequels.
Yeah. See.
The enemy of my enemy is my friend.
Right. That's what I'm saying. Like and people hate when I say this, but I'm like, I bet you in 15, 20 years, the sequel trilogy will gain the respect that the prequels have, because let's not forget, the prequels were hated.
They were
vastly hated when they came out. So,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't even think that the sequel really has that much hate as the prequels had. Maybe it does.
The Force Awakens wasn't. They had some great things in it.
Yeah.
But everything, it just went so bad after that.
There was just no plan. Yeah, there's just no plan.
And to your point, I think it will happen. It'll be hated less because they're going to keep giving us more material to hate even more.
Yeah.
And even more.
Oh, great. Dad.
Yeah.
Take us home, buddy. Do our outro for us.
All right. See you guys.
See ya. So I totally meant like say goodbye and stuff, and you were just like, see ya. Like do our outro for us. Peace. So
it works. Aggressively